Hello fellow Earthlings, it's Libs, and today I'm going to be reading 3 super hyped books. So I've been thinking of doing this video for a while, and I thought I'd kind of, pick one book that was super hyped sort of 10 years ago, but it still has quite a bit of hype, even if it's not really booktube hype. But I've picked a book that is still on like the top 10 bestsellers from many bookstores in Australia, and it was hyped a lot when it came out, hyped everywhere. So I picked one for that. I've picked a book that has been pretty hyped on booktube for the past sort of 4 years, and then I picked a brand new release that seems to be getting quite a bit of hype. So the first book I'm going to be reading for this video, that came out about a decade ago, is All the Light We Cannot See. This won the Pulitzer Prize in, I think, 2013, and is about this blind girl from France and this German orphan boy during the Second World War, and how they are eventually drawn together. Convenience Store Woman is a piece of Japanese fiction about this woman who works at a convenience store, and she's been working there for many years, but people are worried about her because she doesn't really want to find a different job. She's just happy doing what she's doing. And then my more recent release is Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Melours. I don't know much about this. I know this is about this is a literary fiction novel that is about these two people, I think, moving to New York and starting a life together. So I'm really excited to be reading this one in particular because I've just heard a lot of very interesting things about it, and it's probably my most hyped new release of the year. Okay, so let's get started. I am a quarter of the way into All the Light We Cannot See, and I'm really loving it so far. The chapters are minute. They're only about 3 pages long, and it goes back and forth in each chapter between the French girl Marie and the German boy Werner. I love it. I think that style just works so well. It's so easy to pick up and put down kind of as much as you like, and because you're not awkwardly counting down the pages until the end of the chapter because you want to stop and get a coffee or something, it's making it easier to just focus on the words instead of the chapters, because I find in books where the chapters are really long, I want to stop at the end of a chapter. I don't want to stop in the middle, so I won't pick up the book if I haven't got that much time to read a full chapter. So I'm really loving that about this book. I know it's gonna hurt at some point. I'm waiting for the pain. It starts when both of them are very young, so around the time that Marie turns 7 is when the book starts, and Werner is like 10. It's really good so far. I don't know what I can say without spoiling it, because nothing, things have happened, but not that much has happened. Marie goes blind when she's about 7, and most of her chapters are being kind of her learning how to read Braille, and hanging out at the museum where her father works, and how he's teaching her to learn about the neighborhood. And Werner is an orphan, and he lives with his sister in this orphanage, and he's really good at fixing things and working with radios. So he's been noticed by a Hitler Youth, and he's in a bit of a tight spot because he doesn't really know how he feels about everything because he doesn't know what's going on really. And his sister is a lot better at kind of realizing what's going on than he is. So I'm curious to see where this is all going. They haven't met yet at this stage. There's also chapters kind of set in the future, where there's like bombs going off and they're both in the same city. So I'm curious, I'm guessing they must meet after the bombs go, but I don't know for sure where it's going. But I'm really into it so far.
I am about 56% of the way into All the Light We Cannot See. I am starting to get very nervous. I don't think this is going to have a happy ending. We have had some extremely traumatic things happen to friends of the characters and some not so fun deaths, and Marie is going to be in a particularly difficult situation. Now, same with Werner, he's not in a good spot, so this is, I'm getting nervous.
Well, I'm finished All the Light Cannot See, and I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. I think it's not what I expected, but it's just so well written. The emotional punches were felt, and it just did a great job at keeping me engaged throughout the entire book. So I had a really good time with it. Really glad I read it. Would definitely recommend picking it up if it's been on your list for a while, because it's great. And that means I'm now going to be picking up Cleopatra and Frankenstein. I'm nervous, but I'm excited. I don't really know what I'm getting into, but I think I'll have a good time.
So I finished reading Convenience Store Woman, and I thought it was okay. I don't quite understand the extreme amount of hype behind this book. And it's not that it was bad or anything. I think I gave it a 3.5 stars. It's just, I don't know, I expected it to be different from what it was. It's about this woman in Japan who doesn't really understand other people very well, and she works at a convenience store part-time, and everyone around her doesn't understand why she's doing this instead of having a real job, or if she's going to do this, why isn't she married? And it's about her trying to figure out the best way to mimic other people so that she can fit into society. And I feel like it could have been, I don't know, I didn't love the way this theme and idea was explored. There's this male character who really just annoyed me so much, and I feel like I would have enjoyed this book a lot more if I hadn't had to listen to him rant about the same thing 50 times. It also, I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, so skip this bit if you want to read this book, but I feel like she's been in this job where everyone says she's like the best retail assistant for so many years, and yet she's never given a promotion, like to be either full-time or a manager. And I just don't understand how she can be the most dedicated employee for so many years and yet like doesn't move up at all and isn't offered the chance to move on at all, even though she's clearly capable and could so easily do it. And I don't understand why that is never really brought up the way I think it should be. So anyway, I thought this book was okay, but I'm not obsessed with it. Anyway, I'm now about a quarter of the way through Cleopatra and Frankenstein. I don't know how I feel about it yet. I kind of and being watched by people across the street. That's fun. I like the writing. I'm finding it really interesting that this is a book about this young woman from England who's living in New York. She marries this older guy pretty much straight after they meet. They form a connection, they get married, and the book is kind of about the fallout from this decision, and the chapters tend to follow the people, different people in their lives. So I'm curious to see how this all ties together. But yeah, it's a really cool concept and I'm interested to see where it goes.
Okay, so I have finished reading Cleopatra and Frankenstein. I finished reading this book on holidays, but I didn't really feel like filming, and then I got sick and I'm still sick, but I'm gonna film this now. So I really enjoyed this book. Every chapter is kind of from a different point of view of people, like either in this relationship or people observing this relationship. And then the chapters are all different months of this 1 year relationship. And I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it changing points of view so often, but I ended up really enjoying it. I think it did a really good job of really kind of delving into what it looked like from all points of view. I really liked Eleanor's chapters. Hers were my favourite. It was written in a way so it was kind of very much like fragments of what's going on instead of like a flowing chapter. And I really enjoyed that. I think I really enjoy that style. I want to test it out myself now. I could see why people were so excited for this book. It'll be curious if the hype for this book stays. I feel like it's dying down now because it's taken me so long to do this video, but it's still got hype in very particular circles. But yeah, I'll be curious to see if that remains and if it is remembered in like a year's time, because I feel like for the other books they're very much stuck in the popular consciousness. You know, All the Light We Cannot See has been talked about in all book circles for a decade, and Convenient Storewoman is very much, I think, like a book that people who watch bookish content have been aware about for 5 years, I think, and have been really into. And I'm curious to see what place this final book will slot into in the future. I have one clip from my holiday, I'll put that here. It's not very exciting. I really didn't feel like filming. That is it for this video. I'm gonna go back to bed. I feel awful, but I wanted to wrap this video up because I've been filming it for 3 months at this point. So now that's all over and I can move on to some of the other reading vlogs I was excited to film. So I will see you next time. Bye.